The United States men's basketball team walks away with a gold medal from the Tokyo Olympics. And I know most people might say, well, come on, that's a given. They're supposed to win the gold medal. They do every Olympics and always dominate the competition. Well, yes, but not necessarily the case this year. It's become more and more clear with every passing Olympics or FIBA World Cup that the international competition has become more and more competitive, which is why you see more and more international players in the NBA as the sport becomes more global. But with the US losing their very first game of the Olympics against France, the team they faced in this final game, you could never be too quite sure that the US was going to run away with this title, and that was the case in the quarterfinal and the semifinal matchups when the US looked a little lethargic and committed a lot of turnovers in the first half. But just like they did in the gold medal game, the Americans took over in the third, and they did what they needed to do to bring home the gold medal yet again. And of course, our very own Zach Lavine brings home the gold medal as well. So what's going on, everyone? You were listening to Bulls Central here. Hope you're all doing well. So I know I haven't covered much of the Olympics on this channel and how Zach Lavine has been showing up in the games outside of the very first game, in which they lost to France, and a quick recap of some of the exhibition games. But that was mainly due to the fact that the games were being played at very odd times in the US, and I don't know about you guys, but I was not going to be paying for Peacock to watch the games live. And of course, all the news with free agency and everything else going on, which I obviously wanted to cover. But thankfully, this final game was played at a reasonable hour in the US and was streamed live on NBC. Now, let me start by saying that Lavine, as far as how he showed up in this Olympics, he was a bit quiet, but in a way that's to be expected when you have so many stars on the team that are going to be sharing the ball. It's not like he's going to be the main go-to guy like you would see on the Bulls, but he still showed up well. And I think more importantly, this has been a great experience for Lavine that he will take with him into this upcoming season, playing with some of the best players in the world. It was clear that he bonded with a lot of these guys. I think what was most notable that a lot of people were talking about was the way that he bonded with Kevin Durant, and that they shared on and off the court. I mean, there was so much talk about this every time KD mentioned Lavine in a press interview or on his Instagram live stream, in which he talked about Lavine finally playing defense. You had people talking about Kevin Durant joining the Bulls when his contract expires because of all of this, which I think was more just in good fun. I don't think most people anyway realistically thought that Kevin Durant would in fact join the Bulls. And that's even more evident now, as it was reported by Adrian Wojnarowski today that Kevin Durant is working on a 4-year extension with the Brooklyn Nets, which likely means Kevin Durant will finish out his career in Brooklyn. But for Zach Lavine in this gold medal game, he finished with 5 points, and throughout the Olympics, he was really a key contributor off the bench to get Team USA some offense. I mean, really, Kevin Durant was the leader of this team in his scoring throughout the Olympics, and it really wasn't even close in terms of who else was the #1 go-to option. You had Lillard, obviously he was a key piece. Drew Holiday was very great. Tatum had a really good game in this gold medal game, but this was really Kevin Durant's team, if there was a best player and a #1 option. Now, as far as this gold medal game against France, this was actually a fun game to watch. It was actually competitive and entertainment. I mean, that's one of the reasons I've never really found watching men's basketball Olympic games all that exciting, because they're always blowing out every team every Olympics, and that's generally the case with the majority of their games leading up to this final game. But this gold medal game, I mean, it was really close throughout. The US started pulling ahead, and it almost looked like they were going to be running away with it in the third quarter, but then France suddenly came back in the fourth and ended up cutting the lead to 3 with 5 minutes left to go in the fourth. And give France a lot of credit. They played with a lot of energy, defensive toughness. They were physical and scrappy, and they weren't going to let Team USA walk away with an easy win, and it truly made the game worth watching. Now, I think if there was one thing we learned from this Olympics, is that international play is catching up with the level of talent and competition of the Americans. Every year, whether it be the Olympics or the World Cup, as I mentioned before, it's becoming closer and closer and more challenging for Team USA to just walk away and dominating the competition every game. And I love it. I really do. I absolutely love that basketball is becoming a globalized sport with more and more talent coming from all over the world. And as happy as I am to see USA walk away with another gold medal, it's great to see other countries putting up a good fight. So congrats to Team USA, congrats to France for taking the silver and keeping it close, and even making it a little scary there at the end with the way the US fumbled the ball there, getting a little lazy thinking they had won the game. And of course, congrats to our guy Zach Lavine for showing up well and representing the Chicago Bulls in his first Olympics, and hoping that he can take that experience and leadership into this new Bulls team that is going to need a leader with the added level of talent of this team. Speaking of which, I didn't think it was worth creating a separate free agency recap video of the moves that were made today, but in case you missed it, the Bulls did reach an agreement with Javonte Green on a 2-year deal, which I actually love this pickup. I talked about in my free agency wish list video earlier in the year, earlier in the offseason anyway, that Javonte Green was one of the players that I was hoping the Bulls would be able to retain on a cheap deal, because I really liked his defensive intensity and his energy, as well as his athleticism in getting to the basket on offense. And he actually stepped up and played really well towards the end of the season when he was finally given the chance after sitting a good portion of his time on the bench after being traded to the Bulls. You know, he was a great spark and a pleasant surprise for the Bulls when he was finally given some playing time. So I think this is a solid pickup for the Bulls to round out the roster with some of their remaining roster spots. Still nothing on Lauri Markkanen, which, if you saw my video from earlier this morning, is shocking to me. I was certain we would receive some news on Markkanen, you know, and that signing with another team or a sign-in trade being completed after it came out, especially in Markkanen, in an interview that he did with a Finnish journalist, stating that he has no interest in returning to the Chicago Bulls and is looking for a fresh start to his career elsewhere. But no, here we are late on Friday night, and still no news on Markkanen and his future. So we'll have to wait and see if anything comes out on that tomorrow, and I'll of course keep you guys posted on that. But aside from that, again, congrats to Zach Lavine. He is now a gold medalist, and hopefully that taste of winning drives him even more to bring that winning feeling to Chicago in this upcoming season. As always, guys, be sure to subscribe if you're a Bulls fan or just a fan of the NBA and basketball, as I do upload daily Bulls content. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.